You may have spent your entire Christian life hearing one verse taught in a way Paul never intended. And once you see it in context, it changes how you understand Philippians, evangelism, and even why so many Christians feel burned out. Most people hear the phrase, "work out your salvation," and immediately think personal spiritual growth. Try harder. Be better. Level up your faith. Some even hear it as a subtle form of works-based salvation. But that is not what Paul is doing at all. And the reason we miss it is because we pull one sentence out of a mission letter and turn it into a slogan. Philippians is not a self-improvement book. It is an evangelism letter written to a church planted in a hostile Roman colony. Paul is writing to a community under pressure, and his concern is not private growth, but gospel advance. That becomes clear the moment you stop reading verse by verse and start following Paul's flow of thought. Before Paul ever says, "work out your salvation," he starts with unity. Be of the same mind. Have the same love. Be in full accord. Be of one mind. That is not inward language. That is public language, corporate language. A church learning how to exist together so the gospel is not hindered. Paul is saying, if this church fractures, the gospel suffers. Then immediately Paul brings Jesus into the conversation. And this is where everything clicks. Jesus did not work out his salvation. Jesus set aside his rights. Jesus humbled himself. Jesus took the form of a servant. Jesus obeyed for others. That is not a spiritual growth illustration. That is a mission illustration. Paul is showing the church what it looks like to put the gospel first, to lay aside status, to give up personal advantage, to choose humility for the sake of others. Only after that does Paul say, "work out your salvation with fear and trembling." And notice something important. Paul does not switch topics. He does not move from unity to private growth. He stays right where he is. Work out your salvation means express your deliverance together, in the open, under pressure, with humility, for the sake of the gospel. That is why Paul immediately says God is the one working among you. That is why he warns against grumbling and division. That is why the outcome is not inner peace, but visible witness, so that you may shine as lights, holding fast to the word of life. This is not about earning salvation. It is not about spiritual ladders. It is not about becoming more impressive Christians. It is about a delivered people embodying their rescue together. So the gospel is not undermined, but advances, and they find their joy together in advancing it. This is why so many churches feel exhausted. They take a verse meant for corporate mission and turn it into individual pressure. They take a call to unity and turn it into a private performance standard. Paul is doing the opposite. He is freeing the church from self-focus and aiming them outward. When the church stops protecting itself and starts embodying the gospel together, joy returns. Energy returns. Purpose returns. So the next time you hear "work out your salvation," do not hear anxiety. Do not hear self-improvement. And definitely do not hear works-based salvation. Hear Paul saying this: you have been delivered. Now exist together in a way that shows it. Lay aside your rights. Walk in unity. Follow the pattern of Jesus. Not so you grow spiritually in isolation, but so the gospel moves forward, and God is honored through a united people. That is Philippians in context. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it.